When Carol Alt was 34, she was sent home from work because she wasn't in what they call bathing suit condition. It's kind of a big deal when your work is, well, this. In the high-pressure world of modeling, Carol had developed some bad habits, denying herself food, popping pills, relying on all kinds of stimulants, and then when she hit her 30s, well, those choices caught up with her and her body rebelled. For Carol, that moment changed everything, and it led to a huge transformation in her diet, in her attitude, which ultimately is your way of life. Carol discovered the raw food movement and began advocating for a return to clean, simple, natural eating. Her new philosophy came at the end of a whirlwind time for Carol. Now, she grew up in New York, was waiting tables in college when she was discovered by a photographer and entered the world of modeling. She's often considered one of the first ever supermodels, but it didn't stop there. She got into acting too, did the Canadian adventure series, Amazon.
They always look for the black box, and they wouldn't leave without it. Not even in this godforsaken place.
And today, she says she's happy with her new outlook, so that you can look your best and feel your best at the same time.
Everyone, please welcome Carol Alt. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Great to see you.
Thank you.
If I'd known you were going to wear those heels, I would have worn mine.
I would have brought you a pair to
It would have
match.
been all right. Very nice. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. This is great.
This will be fun. I'm really curious about this wholesale change that you've made over the last, like, it's been a while now, but this change that you've done. Talk to me about what your body was telling you and why you did this.
Well, as every woman out there knows, when you start hitting your 30s, you start changing, you start gaining weight. It's more difficult to lose the weight. You get tired, you're not eating right. And I didn't realize that all that related to food. Let me tell you something. At 34, I was on 6 or 7 over-the-counter drugs, starving myself to try to stay thin. My skin looked really terrible. And at 50, I look at that as a bad nightmare, and I don't do any of that stuff today. The only thing I changed, my food.
That's the only thing you've changed?
Well, and my skincare.
Right. So then, and this is where it gets super political, right? Is how
It
do
gets
you,
very political.
So what works for you isn't always what works for everybody, is it?
Well, you just went vegan.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me how that worked for you.
Well, currently fine, but but that's currently. But I, by the way, it's not that I recommend this to everybody. I just know that because I don't really care why anybody eats what they eat. For me, I feel good. Right? And so that's why I would do it.
Well, for me, it became about women's issues because I just see so many women suffering. So many women contact me. They write to me. They're like, what do I do? I mean, just life starts changing. Hormones start changing. And you just feel awful and you feel different. And you don't feel sexy and happy. And this was the biggest miracle I found.
When I switched the diet, everybody asked me what I missed. But the real question people should be asking is, what do I like now about the new choices? What are the things I'm most excited about? What's the food that you, in the very beginning, you just went and ate a lot of it because it helped you through it?
Actually, it was a wide variety of everything. I think I was just so starved, and all of a sudden I was able to eat whatever I wanted, as much as I wanted, as long as I ate it prepared a certain way. And the pounds just came off, and my body slimmed up, and everything tightened up, and my skin, my hair, my attitude, everything just changed. 15 years later, I'm 15 years older, and I'm not on any of those over-the-counter drugs, and I don't suffer from any of that stuff. And there's nothing I miss, because the raw food world, if you just type it in on your computer and you write raw food, it's like literally a parallel universe. You like peanut butter cups? I can give you raw peanut butter cups.
Right.
You like ice cream? I can give you raw ice cream.
But can you give me a raw, greasy slice of pizza with cheese and pepperoni on it?
Yes, I can, because I told you I talk about 75 to 95% raw. So if you want that as your 5% cheat, baby, go right ahead.
So yeah, maybe I'm going to have to go there.
Just pop some enzymes if you're going to do it so it digests better, otherwise you'll have heartburn.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem in the very beginning. Do you lost your father, was it in the 80s to cancer?
Yes, 1983, yeah, a month after I got married.
Do you think about, I mean, with your new look at health, do you think about him and how
Absolutely. Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Because if I had it, I just think I could have made his life a lot more pleasant, because, I mean, he towards the end, it was really bad. Yeah. It was really bad. My father was a fireman, though. He went into buildings, he didn't send his men in, he led his men in. He was a chief, and he went in first, and he breathed all that stuff in. My heart goes out to the guys from 9/11, because I knew immediately, because my father, he passed away because of the results of a huge toxic fire, and yeah, it's very sad.
The firefighters are the great sacrifices, right?
I love firefighters. I love civil servants. I mean, let's face it. I just, you know, my father was a fireman. The policemen all around where I live, they all know me. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, I just love civil servants.
Do they know you because of your father? Do they know you because you're in Sports Illustrated?
They know me because of my father.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, they know me because of my father. And of course, okay, yes, for Sports Illustrated too, I'm sure. But mostly because, you know, my dad, it's like, you know, an alt. It's an alt.
Have you faced backlash yet? Because when you become not a spokesperson per se, but when you become an advocate for a wholesale change like this, have you faced some of that backlash?
I think there's more backlash if you don't walk the walk. Yeah. I walk the walk. This is what I do day in and day out. And I don't force people to do anything that they shouldn't do, and I don't tell them to do it without a doctor.
And the skincare essentials, raw essentials.
Raw essentials,
right?
Yeah. Shoppers Drug Mart. They've been unbelievable. They've really. You know, the Canadians, man, they're so smart. They get it. They don't want chemicals.
We do a lot of reading.
Yes.
We do a lot of reading up here.
Yes.
It's good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on, George.
Farewell to everybody.
Thank you, guys.
That's great.